Hey everybody, good morning, Dr. Tammy here. So I did a little post yesterday and asked what topics you guys would like. And somebody asked me about perimenopause and hot flashes. So I'm just gonna cut to the chase. So frustrating for me that whenever you go out on the internet and you look, because I was just curious what all people said out there, they say, well, we don't know what causes hot flashes and we don't know like why. And it's like, yes, we do. It's science. And for people to say we don't know what causes hot flashes or we don't know the connection between the science, we absolutely do. So let me just kind of get that vent out. But anyway, the bottom line let me just cut to the chase, the answer that you're looking for is that around perimenopause, 1 out of 5 women have thyroid disease. So it's most likely not your female hormones. It is most likely thyroid disease. So you have to get that looked at. And I did a video yesterday talking about the 6 different forms of thyroid disease and how they can elude the TSH test that most doctors do. So anyway, the connection between estrogen and thyroid is what we're talking about. And men have estrogen too. Some people are surprised. Men and women have all the same hormones, just different percentages and different receptor amounts. And so we can see what's called estrogen dominance in men as well. So what is perimenopause? Perimenopause is the time, and it can be 10 years before menopause. So in menopause, estrogen drops, everything drops, progesterone drops, females run out of eggs. Males go through a form of what's called andropause when things start dropping too. And so what happens is that when estrogen drops, your temperature regulation is off, and then you'll get what's called hot flashes. But the reason you get hot flashes, it's a vasodilation of your arteries and veins that are trying to cool you down. And it looks all red and it makes you just crazy if you've ever had one. And men can have hot flashes and night sweats too. But what's happening is a temperature regulation. So what regulates most of the temperature in your body is your thyroid. Thyroid is your metabolism switch, your metabolism key. So when you take food and you burn that food into energy and you burn it off and quote lose weight, that's what's doing it. Mostly is your thyroid. So it's kilojoules is the unit of energy in which you burn fat. So if it's a heat unit, it's all about body temperature and heat. And there are some thyroid specialists who say, check your body temperature in the morning, and if it's low, you'll be cold and low hypothyroid symptoms. But again, thyroid can come from many different things. Thyroid resistance, too many binding globulins, all sorts of different things. But I can pretty much guarantee you, if you're having a temperature regulation, hot flashes, night sweats, anything like that, it's a thyroid issue. But secondarily, what's happening is your estrogen is fluctuating. And around perimenopause, your progesterone starts dipping, and progesterone and estrogen balance each other out. So you stop sleeping well, plus you have the night sweats, and then you really are a hot mess, literally. And so you have to look at the thyroid. So I will say that there are different kinds of estrogens. So when you hear estrogen, most people shut down the conversation and start thinking breast cancer. And yes, that is part of the conversation, but there are different kinds of estrogens. And so that balance is super important. And knowing that balance can actually prevent you from getting different kinds of cancer. So it's very important. Thyroid is also what's called a neurotransmitter. So your mood and brain fog and things like that, your thyroid is very, very important for that. Okay, so let's get back to a little nerdy science about temperature regulation in the body. So normally when estrogen declines, right, you start to have hot flashes. But what happens is estrogen gets processed to its different forms in the liver, okay? And thyroid, 80% of your thyroid gets processed from its inactive form to your active form. Guess where? In the liver. So you have to address liver issues. So if you want correction over this, you really have to take care of your liver. So there are different liver supplements, and I won't go into all those right now. But things like decreasing alcohol, decreasing toxins in your environment, eating cleaner food. And it's not that hard. And I can do a whole nother video on eating cleaner. So all sorts of little things you can do. But what happens is when those bad forms, or what we call estrogen dominance, of too much of those kinds of estrogen increase, then T3 goes down, and T3 is your active form. So now the temperature regulation is off because now you're feeling hot and you're trying to burn off that energy, but now you have low thyroid, so you're feeling cold. So in an ideal world, all that balances out, but in not an ideal world, and if you're having symptoms, brain fog, anything that's low thyroid, but then you're also having hot flashes, you've got some sort of dysregulation going on. And so you need to ask your doctor about different thyroid levels, estrogen, progesterone levels. And you're going to have to find somebody that does functional medicine, because unfortunately most traditional doctors are not schooled in that. It's not that they're stupid or that they don't care. It's just that they don't understand the science, because pharmaceutical companies are all driving and pushing them to push drugs, right? And there's lots of drugs for different symptoms that you have. In fact, I looked for pharmaceuticals. I was just curious what all they use to treat hot flashes in menopausal or perimenopausal women. And it's things like gabapentin and antidepressants. I mean, it's just crazy. And I always say a headache is not an aspirin deficiency. So it's really important to get to the root cause. So one of the things that happens is when you have too much estrogen, and men do this a lot when they do testosterone therapy, and what it does is converts into estrogen and then causes a bit of estrogen dominance unless they're taking estrogen blockers. And when you have too much estrogen, it can increase what's called thyroid binding globulins, TBG. And when you have too much TBG, those are your UBRs, or your carrier proteins. And those carrier proteins can make your thyroid more or less available to you. So if your thyroid is less available, then that's a problem, right? So here we go back, estrogen dominance. We have more estrogen, less active T3. So you're just a hot mess. And a lot of doctors will just say, you're just having female problems, or they'll miss it in men because they don't think about estrogen. And then they'll say, deal with it, here's some meds, throw that at you, or you spend a lot of time looking for evening primrose oil and all those different things too. So it's all about the balance, and that feedback loop will keep working, and the things that you might be doing to imbalance that might be a problem. So I will say one thing is to watch your alcohol intake, get you some liver support, milk thistle, all that kind of stuff. But the biggest things is, on this side, let's address the estrogen dominance. I love diethylmendolamine. There are different forms, and I'm sorry I didn't switch my camera here, but different forms, and this actually will help block the, quote, proliferative or problematic estrogen, right? Proliferation means growth, and that can lead to tumor, and that can lead to cancer. So all sorts of anti-cancer properties too. So you want to deal with the estrogen dominance. We have one in our office, not trying to sell you our supplements, but it's called Estro Support. It's just diethylmendolamine. It's the stuff that's found in green leafy vegetables. So the more green leafy vegetables you eat, get you some vegetable powder to put in your smoothie in the morning or something. But the more vegetables you get, the more estrogen dominance symptoms will come down as well. Okay, and on the thyroid side, iodine supplementation is super important. There are all sorts of different thyroid supports that have selenium and zinc and things like that, but iodine is going to be one of your main things. I will say this is not a substitute for medical advice. I'm not your provider. I'm just giving you some things to think about. Talk to your doctor before you start any supplements. And the main reason I say that is because with iodine supplementation, if you have Hashimoto's or autoimmune thyroiditis, then too much iodine can be a little bit problematic. But we are extremely deficient in our iodine in our food supply. So a lot of times if people have goiters or they have issues with thyroid balance, before I stick them on thyroid medicine, even if it is natural thyroid medicine, I'll talk to them about iodine supplementation. All right, I hope that was helpful. So the bottom line is perimenopause, hot flashes, check your thyroid. Okay, love you all very much. I hope you have a wonderful, blessed week, and keep those questions coming because it gives me content to blabber on about. Okay, bye.